Thank you very much. Nice to be back. Thank you for the invitation, Eric. Yeah, well, it's my father's the smarter and better looking of the two of us, but has left this for me. So we're both geological engineers and prospectors, and what I'm going to tell you about, of course, I've got some particulars, but really this is the something we put together where we are right now over multiple decades. We have been focused on Mexico, and I think we're recently best known for that. We've made a number of discoveries, and our focus for discovery has really been the first principles, early stage exploration, and we found 3 deposits in Mexico. You'll see not the vestiges, but maybe the best parts of them consolidated here in Almadex Minerals. Almaden Minerals is focused on one of those discoveries, and Azucar and another one, and so that's a bit of the history here. But really, just a quick summary: we've got 17 million cash. We have that throughout this year through the quarters, so that's not going down by virtue of our diamond drilling operations. And we really feel that early stage exploration drilling. We just heard a great story that highlights that. The earlier you drill, the better your success will be. So we've got a portfolio of properties, a portfolio of royalties. Seems like a bit of a hodgepodge, but it's all because of this early stage prospecting and discovery process is how we've got here. Yeah, I think that's what I summarized here, and this is, I think, pretty hard to see. My colleague put this together, but essentially just reiterating, what you're looking at is a prospecting team. All of these projects have come about from early stage, first principles exploration. We like to do joint ventures. We've had up to 30 projects at a time, and I think at one point we had 15 joint ventures on the go in an earlier iteration, and that can all result in, often we say in exploration the deal's not the final deal. We're the incubator, we're the creator of these ideas, and what we find happens is people come to you, want a project, want to do a joint venture, and often they'll want to buy it. And so through that process of either sale, through spin-outs, as I'll mention, or through partnerships, we acquire royalties as well. So again, 30 years of doing this. The 3 key royalties that we'll talk about is our Ixtaca discovery. It's a 2.5 million ounce gold equivalent reserve. We stake the claims, discover it from scratch, and we're at feasibility level. We're in a kind of a permitting challenge there in Almaden in Mexico. When you find these things, and I will say something philosophical about exploration, at one end of the spectrum is the development and mining of these things, which is a very hard thing to do, financing and developing projects. At the end of the spectrum is actually finding them, and they both have their challenges. But early stage projects, everything is staked. Anything that has an old showing on it is staked, and the people who own those things are waiting often for a junior to come along and have astronomical prices. So it seems disconnected from the end of the spectrum, where it can be very challenging in this regulatory and environmental environment, social environment, to develop mines. So we try to fill that void by finding things in areas where there aren't historic prospects in many cases, making new discoveries. And that's what we did in Mexico in a brand new area. Talking about assets here, we also have a number of, we mentioned securities here, things that we've done through project sales, which is part of how we manage a portfolio of early stage properties. And we've got the cash through that process too. This is the key to our exploration. We own 6 diamond drills, and we're expecting to be at worst cash flow neutral this year. So the revenues we have from the drills, when we're not using the drills for our own projects, we contract them out. We've got it's not the drills, it's the people. Over 20 years in Mexico, we've got a dedicated an excellent drill team. So we drilled, our average cost of drilling for 160,000 meters or 160 kilometers a core was about $30 odd back in the day. That's a long time ago now at Ixtaca. It's different from project to project, but that's our capacity. We believe that the earliest you drill, the better it is. The drill is a prospecting tool. And that gives us the flexibility to do that. So we are drilling this project in Nevada. I don't have a great deal of detail here on it, but it's a high sulfidation project with low sulfidation epithermal veins, and all that means is that we've got potential for numerous discoveries on the project. It's across the valley from the Paradise Peak mine. This is old stomping ground for us. A little further to the southwest there is the Santa Fe mine, and in 1974 my dad discovered that, and it wound up being mined out by Homestake. I was 3 years old at the time, and we were back in there with a big regional concept. We do our own age determinations, our own whole rock geochemistry. So I kind of felt that there was a belt and something more going on here, and we put together this property based on that kind of first principles approach. We had a partner. It gives you a little idea of how we operate. We had a partner that approached us, wanted to do some work, and they were unable to finance, so we took the property back, and we've decided to drill it ourselves. So that's the kind of flexibility we have in our group. We have projects in this Spence's Bridge belt. Everyone knows about West Haven, and we were the kind of the first mover in that belt and have a number of properties in there that we may look to joint venture out or drill ourselves. And we've also got a portfolio of properties in Mexico I'll talk about, but this is kind of, while we're a little north of the Mexican border, this is something that's, again, in our portfolio. It is been there since, well, for a long time. We had a 40% carried interest in this project. It has a historic resource, non-43-101 resource, drilling in the 80s, and the partner basically went into receivership, and we were able to buy the 60% back earlier this year for $100,000. So it's got very good access from the Alaska Highway. It's got a huge amount of historic drilling. We have a historic inferred resource of a 40 odd million tons of just under 3% zinc. There was historic higher grade components to that. It's right at surface, and again, a very interesting asset that we'll be looking to advance in the portfolio. Expect us to make this current and put out a new resource statement. That's what we're working on right now. So just to talk about our royalties, we've got a 2% royalty on the Ixtaca deposit. This is a discovery that we made. We staked the project, did the initial drilling. We defined a whole new belt in this area with a lot of regional exploration. We think there's a lot more to do in the area and at the project itself. This is part of the spin-out process in which Almaden became a single asset developer and Almadex retained a royalty. It's got just under a 4 million ounce gold equivalent resource. There's upside opportunity, and Almaden is in a whole bunch of how would I even put it? Permitting challenges that are not totally typical, but this is a great asset that we're essentially part of the zero value being attributed to it when you're trading at cash. We had plans to move this project forward. There's just been a Supreme Court decision. There was some litigation, not against the company, but against the Mexican Constitution, which went to the Supreme Court. So outside groups claiming that the mining law doesn't respect international obligations around consultation. And so a Supreme Court decision has been, these are the kind of things you get into with development and what make mining an interesting business. But this is an asset we have a 2% NSR on, and we had a feasibility study with a 42% IRR after tax at $1,275 gold and an NPV there of $300 million. So you can do some back of the envelope math on that. We have another royalty on a porphyry we discovered. Again, another discovery we made from scratch in Mexico. It's got 100, depending on the cutoff, around 100 million tons on one of the targets on the property for indicated. Well, if you put the indicated and inferred together, which you're not meant to do, we've got a significant resource there, as you can see, in gold equivalent terms. Big targets, big exploration plans, and we're seeing how we can, in that company, finance this, but this company has a royalty carried. So that's a quick summary. There's lots to talk about, but essentially trading at cash and essentially all that is free.